Hi, this is the Limerick Pro Show at Patch 7. I'm joined by DJ Gearoid Organ, who will be playing at the Limerick SummerFest this summer. Gearoid, how are you?
I'm good now, and yourself?
Not too bad, can't complain. Bad weather, obviously. So,
Jeez, what do you expect? Like, it's Limerick.
that's true, that's true. Ireland in general, really.
That's for sure.
So you're playing at the Limerick SummerFest. What are your thoughts now on the music industry bouncing back after 2 years?
Oh, geez, it was well needed. Like, there for 2 years, it was a complete nightmare for not just for DJs, but for any musicians, for that fact. Going from playing at live venues to just anything really. Me myself as the DJ, like I was hit really hard because just before the lockdown had actually come in, the whole pandemic, that whole big storm we're going to call it. I was actually just taking off as a DJ, and I just actually had won a DJ competition with Spins Out West. And what that entailed was I sent in a mix, a half an hour mix, and there was over a couple of hundred entries. And luckily enough, I actually had won the contest. So I was ecstatic about that. And I want to give a big, huge thanks to the lads over Spins Out West for choosing me out of all the other talented entries. So they actually brought me up to Longitude, and I got to perform there alongside them, the likes of Darren Regan, Marty Guilfoyle, Ed Roach and Valerie Whelan, all those guys, lovely people, lovely now. But afterwards then, things started to take a small bit of a decline, not towards my gigs or anything, but it was just more or less, COVID was kind of creeping about. It kind of first came up around China, and then there was speculation that the whole country could get closed down. And that's when I really had like a gut feeling that this could go very badly for anybody in the events industry.
But like you were won a competition with Spins Out West. How did that feel? Like hundreds of people into it. You were the one that was picked out, so that must have been like, what were your feelings?
I'm not even joking you. I actually had submitted the mix because one of my mates actually told me about it. And I was like, oh, sure, I've literally just made a mix, so I'll just submit it in. And I remember I was sitting inside work and I was just flicking through my emails, and I seen an email from Spins Out West. And I was like, I was wiping my eyes. I was like, have I seen this right? Like, so I was in complete disbelief, and they goes, hi, girl, we just tried to give you a call there. And so I was inside my office, and I can't take calls inside there. So I literally ran out the front of the building, called him up straight away. And I think it was Darren Regan at the time who told me, he goes, hi, girl, you've won the competition. And when I say I've never been so happy in my life, I was literally jumping around with excitement. Like just coming from like starting DJing when I was about 17 years of age to making music to, I think I was 21 at the time, because I'm 23 now. Oh geez, it was a dream come true to just win that competition and get to play at Longitude. It was really a dream come true.
And where'd your passion for music come from? You definitely need a big passion to pursue it as a career in it. So where did that come from?
I was actually in St. Munchin's College. That's where I went to secondary school. And there was actually a class that was being held there at the time. I can't remember exactly what the class was, but basically what we had to go away and do was we'd start up our own little radio show with inside the school itself. And by doing so, then with that, I'd gone away and I made my own one, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Like, I really enjoyed myself when I was doing it. So after that, then I was set down at home and I came across a video of Avicii, and he was playing at Tomorrowland. And I literally thought to myself, I goes, geez, I'd love to do that. Like, that looks phenomenal. Like I really look like I'd enjoy that. So after that, then I'd actually gone away and I'd bought myself my own little laptop. And basically I started to like produce my own music at the time, because I knew myself, like being a 17-year-old kid, like trying to make it in the industry, just DJing wasn't going to be enough. So I sat down, started making my own music, and within a year, I actually had signed my first record deal with an English record label called Open House Records. And geez, that was such a huge milestone, from coming from just starting making music to actually getting a deal with a label who published it on Spotify, iTunes, all these major music streaming platforms. So it was crazy. And it's just kind of escalated from there. So it's been really good.
Yeah. And would you consider Avicii as your biggest inspiration, or would there be any other musicians that you'd consider up there?
No.
Considering he seems to be the one that kind of told you that you could do this. This looks like fun.
To be honest, he was the main guy at that time. And in that time moment, he was my inspiration to get into it. And he really made me want to do what he was doing. So that's where that led to.
Yeah. And what's your kind of your music genre? What would be your favorite? Would it be just beats like Avicii, or would you be into country folk music and any of that?
I'm fairly open as a DJ. Like I could like a bit of everything. So Avicii would be more based around EDM, so that's electronic dance music. But personally myself, I kind of fall under like house, deep house, and I kind of like dibble into techno every now and again. But I won't be too big into techno now, but house and deep house, they'd be my two favorite genres.
Yeah, and what can we expect from not just you, but a lot of other DJs, musical acts at SummerFest, Limerick SummerFest? Because there is a wide range of like diversity in terms of music.
God. They are bringing people in from all over the world, and it's all about diversity and inclusion. So they're bringing, as far as I know, they're bringing people in from the likes of Germany, Poland, Brazil. So that enough on an international scale is crazy to bring into Limerick to have a festival out of. And I'm telling you, you're in for a treat. You're in for a treat.
And I know like SummerFest is little bits away, but past SummerFest, where do you see yourself going forward in terms of venues, gigs, music in general, your career as a DJ?
So that's actually what I've been actually in a good bit of deep thought about the last couple of days. Like where is this going to go? Like, is SummerFest going to be a one-hit wonder kind of a thing? Kind of like my longitude thing a couple of years ago. But I gave it a nice bit of consideration, and I've been reaching out to clubs and venues across the country just to get in for gigs. So I'm hoping after this show gets out and after my gig at SummerFest, that a lot more clubs and venues might consider me as the DJ. Like, I've been DJing, making music there for like the last 4 or 5 years, and I'm sure I pretty much have it to a T at this stage. So I'd love it. I'd love to get around the place now. So that's kind of my career projection.
And you play like a lot of venues, a lot of gigs over the last few years. Which venue would you say was the best atmosphere-wise?
Atmosphere-wise, I'd say Tramline in Dublin had to be in the best atmosphere-wise and venue-wise. It was just crazy. What a spot for like any DJ to get a gig. It's really, really memorable.
And how about second best? Probably close to that.
Best. See, I don't want to be a bit biased out to any clubs. I don't want to be throwing them under,
You have to be biased. You have to be biased.
Because every club I played in was truly, truly great. But if I had to pick, I would say Project in Waterford is definitely up there.
Yeah.
And Karma and Athlone, they're like neck and neck. They're really good.
Yeah. And would you have any like crazy fans going up to the gigs? I've seen a lot of DJs getting thrown off the stage, but has that ever happened to you?
Unfortunately not, no.
You never had a crazy encounter, no?
No. I had I was playing in Charlie's. It's actually a pub in Athlone as well. Funnily enough, we have a Charlie's pub down here too in Limerick. And it was a shooting bar, and I got a gig there one night. And just after I'd finished, I was walking up the road. The place I was staying at the time was probably like 20 minutes away from the pub. So I was walking up the road, and then I came across this bunch of college students, and they were like, "Oh, are you Gorgan?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, do you want to come back to the house party?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" Like, so I'd say that's probably the craziest experience I've had so far after a gig or during a gig even.
Yeah. And it's 2 years now since music industry's back, and all DJs, musicians, artists in general are all coming back to the scene. How's it feel for you in a way to come back, like feelings wise? Are you scared, nervous? Because it could be a shock to the system, I'm assuming. I'm not a musician, so I'm just saying come back to DJing after like a while, like a lot of people. SummerFest be massive.
Yeah.
So how does that feel?
Personally, I am very nervous. I am very nervous about it because it's been so long, and just to get back up in front of a crowd again is gonna be. It's just gonna be like, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word anyway, but it's going to be an amazing feeling. Like I've been out there. I went out there last weekend for my first time since restrictions and stuff came to an end as such. And geez, the crowd, the atmosphere, everyone was just buzzing, like having a great time, and it was great to see, especially after being like stuck inside home for 2 years. Yeah, it was great to see. Great now.
Yeah, and 2 years of pandemic music. You personally, like when you look back 2 years ago on it, the music, the industry, entertainment industry as a whole was just gone, kind of frozen. There was no no life. There was no detail, like indication when things will come back. But music industry, that must have been like scary for that industry, because it just dropped and gone, and all of a sudden you were at the back of everyone's minds. So as a musician, like, how worried were you? Would you ever think, oh geez, will I ever come back to the industry?
Oh, of course, I think that was on every DJ's mind or musician at that stage. Like, is this ever going to come to an end? Like, I think the restrictions were eased there at one point, and they're only letting so many people into pubs. And even though they're only letting them into pubs, you can only sit down, or you'd have to get the drinks brought to you, or and they weren't really supporting DJs as such at that stage. One or two places in Limerick now were, but not a lot of places were actually doing it. So yeah, it was pretty scary. It's pretty scary now to see that as a DJ. But luckily enough, like, that wouldn't be the only thing I do. I've a full-time job at the same time. So luckily enough for that kept me going through the whole pandemic.
Yeah, and now that like everything's kind of back up and running, and hopefully it stays that way for the love of God.
Yeah, let's
hopefully.
hope. Let's hope.
Like, any advice for musicians out there now, because everything's back up and running, if they want to pursue music, like DJ and singer-songwriters, what kind of advice would you give them, seeing as you started at a young age and just went for it?
Just start and never look back. Just put yourself out there as much as you can. And if you put yourself out there as much as you can, bars, venues, people looking for you for specialized parties like weddings or events, they're going to look to snatch you up. And if you keep sticking at what you're doing, even if you're not great at the start, it's all just progress. So starting from 0, working to 100, like, you're not going to be great at the start. If you are great at the start, fair play to you. Not a lot of people are, but fair play.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely keep working on it and don't look back. Just keep your mind on it, basically.
Yeah, and before I let you go, want to give us more details about Limerick SummerFest in you particular? Like, when can we see you, dates, times, you have all that?
So you'll actually be able to see me on the 19th of June. So that is actually the Sunday of the event. Now, as far as I know, Sunday is actually the cheaper day of the two. The Saturday is €40 and the Sunday is €30. I've yet to be given a specific time that I will be playing, but I will let you know as soon as I know myself.
And I wish you luck in that. Hopefully it'll be a good lot of fun, especially for people after 2 years being cooped up inside. So it's nice for Limerick as well to finally have something going on. So
that's just it.
Yeah, and I wish you luck in that. And
thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Good talking to you too. All right, cheers. Thanks very much.
I'll talk to you.
See ya.